TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors, is brought to you in part by HT Premium Ice Tackle, Polar Fire Gear. This is how it's done. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. And Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing.
Welcome back to Tom Gruenwald Outdoors. Today we're going to be fishing with the Windlass Wind Tip-Up. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are confused by how these units work. They look kind of different with the spool up on top and this rocker arm. They're not sure how to set and actually put these things into practice out on the ice. And we chose a lake here that is not known for catching big fish necessarily, but it's a good numbers lake for northern pike. And the reason we chose that is we have a chance to set some of these up, get some of these rigged, show the Windlass in action so that you can try these on your favorite waters. They certainly will catch trophy fish as well. And there's a few other species in this environment here. We've got some walleyes, there are muskies, so there's a chance we might catch something besides the pike too. But we're going to go through today. We're going to show you how to set up a wind tip-up. I'm going to show you exactly how to rig these tip-ups and some little tips and tricks for making you more productive with the Windlass tip-up. So be sure to join us here as we go and try to catch some first ice pike with Windlass tip-ups.
Good times.
Well, what we're going to do here today, it's first ice. It is not very cold, and mild conditions are an ideal time really to use a Windlass tip-up. You know, obviously with a wind tip-up, we're going to show you here in a little bit, the line goes down through the hole, the spool is positioned above the water, so if it's really, really cold, it can be susceptible to freezing. Now there are some techniques we use so we can use the Windlass in the cold weather, but when it's first ice, it's relatively mild like this. It's an ideal time. We've got just a nice light south wind blowing, which is good for fishing and good for making the tip-ups work. Now what I kind of want to show you here, we'll go over and show you the rigs that we're using. We looked at the tip-up, of course, itself a little earlier, but what I've got here is a 30-pound black braided Dacron, the standard tip-up line. And then I've got a barrel swivel here that I'm using to attach. In this case here, we're looking for some, probably some smaller northern hairs that we can pickle. Put in a 17-pound monofilament leader. Now the nice thing about the wind tip-up, because it jigs your bait, is that you can add flashers and things. It's real common, people use spinners. I love to use like these little willow spoons, this type of lightweight thing, just to add a little bit of flash. I've got a split shot on here, and that split shot, of course, helps give me some weight to get the minnow down. And right down here on the terminal end, where I've got that number 6 red treble hook, I've also put a couple of colored pearl beads and red beads with just a simple leader sleeve is what that is in between, just as a spacer. That just adds a little bit of color and flash. There's all kinds of things. You could put little spinner blades on here, which I've got along on some of the rigs. Some people use a little piece of colored yarn that they'll stick on the hooks. Anything just to help the fish find your bait, and pike do like color and flash. So this is an ideal setup here, simple rig, something that you wouldn't put on an ordinary tip-up, but because the wind tip-up jigs for you, you can use that flasher and you can really get some extra things in there that'll help attract pike. So let's see if we can put this down there and see how it works.
You're watching TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors.
Well, I saw the flag go. Normally, of course, when a fish hits on these wind tip-ups, the rocker arm will be dropped down, kind of pulsing as the fish runs, and you'll see the spool turning, because the spool's up here, which is nice. As it is right now, my guess would be this fish dropped the bait. That looks like the motion of the minnow swimming again. I'm just going to wait for a second. Sometimes those fish, they'll hit, turn around, they'll just, for whatever reason, come back and slam it, start going. It's also possible that the fish hit and he's just sitting underneath the hole with the bait. although that's not very likely given that that rocker arm is moving a little like it is. Oh, we got a drop there. That's a hit anyway. Yep, flag up. Oh, he's going with it too, Aaron.
All
going
right.
with it. There we go. Going nice and steady here.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about these wind tip-ups, isn't it? I mean, you can see it. Typically when they really crank on it, that rocker arm will be dropped down, but he's just taking a little bit of line, going easy.
Just going easy with it.
How big of a minnow do we have on this? This is a golden shiner on this one?
Golden on there, yep.
Should be good then.
Yeah.
Okay, we got something coming. Feel very big, but we got something on there. We clicked off quite a bit of line here.
Yeah, he did.
Just a nice little eater.
Yep.
Just exactly what we're looking for. We're not on a trophy pike lake here by any means. This is just a good lake for numbers of fish. And I said that's why I've got the mono leader. And I'm giving that fish, just taking it nice and easy with them so we don't break the leader off. The name of the game here is getting some eats.
Yep.
Just having a little fun with our windlass tip-ups.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yep. Right in the pickle jar.
That's just exactly what you're looking for, isn't it? We did put
pickled fish for Christmas.
We did put down a couple of the lines here where we caught some smaller bluegills from the lake. We put those on with some wire leaders and a little bigger, and that's usually a good trick for catching some of the bigger pike. So we're not entirely going for the smaller fish, but the idea here is just to get some action. And that we did. Now if that leader gets nicked up, we can replace that too.
Certainly.
And usually what I like to do then is I'll just take my fingers, or some people even run it through their lips and just kind of feel and see if there's any bad spots on the line. I don't think that feels too bad. See what you think if you want. Otherwise it's real easy. I bring an extra spool, a 17-pound mono with me.
I'd say we're good.
And I'll just clip that and retie, and we're all set to go again. But you know, as long as we're here, I should show you a few features of the windlass tip-up. When you first go and you pick one of these up, comes out of the package. Of course, everything is folded down like this, real compactly, and that's how you can store it and transport it. But some of the neat features, of course, are the fact that this actually jigs your bait for you. So what happens here is that line is coming off the top of the spool here, and that's important because the flag sits on the spool this way, and the line has to come off the top in order to trip the flag. If it's coming off the bottom, of course, it spins downward and the flag won't trip. The line comes off the top of that spool, and then it comes out, goes down, comes through the grommet here in the wind flap. And the nice thing is the adjustment bracket that we have here, there's actually two springs on there. There's the light tension spring, which comes this way right out of the package. It's good for normal fishing conditions. But if you start fishing for, let's say, larger pike, or if you're in a situation where the winds are blowing exceptionally strong, you can go and use this heavier tension spring. That, of course, puts more tension on the rocker arm and counteracts the effect of stronger winds or the heavier bait. Some people actually, when they're using really large bait or fishing in strong winds, will use both springs together at the same time. Or you can also loosen up this adjustment bracket, turn the entire bracket to the side like this, which of course increases the amount of tension too, so you can get a greater angle. And then the big thing from there is that, of course, you just want to have some support. Normally there'd be some snow here. It's first ice, we don't have too much, so we're just packing this down. We'll get some more slush from a hole. We pack that down and that secures the tip up in place. When a fish bites, you see the rocker arm down and the flag up, come and make your catch. It's a lot of fun to fish with. I would say that the windlass tip up will outfish a standard stationary tip up at least 3 to 1. That movement, especially with pike, in some cases walleyes, that additional movement of the bait is really going to help trigger a lot of hits. So if you're interested in trying something new, something a little different, and you're looking for movement on those tip ups, you might want to try a windlass tip up. I tell you, it's a lot of fun.
There's more fishing action to come right here on TGO.
There he is. Feel real big. We'll see. Sometimes they don't always feel real big either.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes they double back on you a little bit. They go out and they come, and it's like, I've caught some huge pike, and if they it's not much weight on here, and all of a sudden, it's spinning line out of your hand. Yeah, that's going to take you a little while, though.
Got a fair amount of line out there.
He ran a ton of line off.
Yeah, it was like another pickle fish.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's what we're after here with these smaller minnows.
Good early action ice just before Christmas. Yeah, got into the little weeds there. That one there we might put back. That one's a little on the shorts.
Even shorter than the last one.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, there's nothing really, I don't think, that compares to catching fish on these wind tip-ups. When you can run up and you see that spool spinning and the rocker arm dropping, you have no idea how big the fish is going to be on the other side. You just have no idea at all.
Let him grow up a while.
That's right. Let's get this all re-rigged and get another one. You check that leader and make sure everything's okay. If it needs some work, we'll replace that.
Nope, I'd say we're in pretty good shape. Good. We'll get some more bait on there.
Now, was that on a golden shiner there?
That one might have been on a sucker minnow. We got kind of a mix today, so we got a lot of line out. Ooh.
Got one up, Aaron. This is one of the bluegills, so this could be a bigger fish. You usually give them a little longer with that bluegill?
Maybe. Yeah, that one might be a little better fish this time around.
This is the far end of the line, so I mean, it's been a couple of minutes anyway, just walking over here. Nothing at first, and I started seeing the spools just going little. It's just taking a little at a time, so going off nice and steady.
And that's the thing in this lake, there are some big pike in here, but there is a lot of shorter fish, so we're sizing up with them bluegills with the hopes of maybe getting something with some better size on it.
Yeah.
And there's some big muskies in this system as well too, so you don't know what it could be at times. I'll pull line for you if it is a nice one.
Okay, we got something going here. Doesn't feel like a real big fish. We get some head shakes there, so he is on. Might be a little bigger than the last one though. See, now they don't get too crazy until you start getting up to the hole here. All of a sudden, then. Now this one we had a wire leader on with the bluegill. That helps a little. Not a real big fish. You can tell by the head shakes.
Sure.
But he's not bad. I think he's a little bigger than the last one.
Oh yeah.
A little better.
Yeah, a little better fish this time.
There you go.
Nice.
All right. This is good.
The gill.
There's the bluegill.
That's about the size we're using today.
And then we could show too there, again, the advantage of using a wind tip up. He had a bluegill, but he's actually got a little spoon there with a bigger, it looks like a big Siwash.
Yeah, big Siwash hook on the side, single hook. And then what we do is just typically just take the gill and then just come through the side and up so you're not damaging it.
Yep.
Makes them a lot more lively down there on the rig.
Sure.
Works well. Hey Tom, there's a flag now.
Flag up. Oh, looks like you dropped that one. It's hanging pretty straight. Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's a start. You know, you got a little action, and a lot of times they'll come back. You know, I'm wondering too, maybe with some of these lines, Aaron, if we shouldn't put some down a little lower. We got some set high with all the tip-ups. Got 6 tip-ups here between us.
Right.
Mix it up.
Just try to stagger them a little bit. We're starting a new transition from where we were earlier. We're working a shallow break, a shallow bay there, in about 8 feet. Now we're out on a transition area coming out of a small back bay onto a weedy flat that transitions down in about 20 feet of water. So we're looking for something with a little bit bigger size on it now. And yeah, we'll put some on the bottom for maybe a few of the fish that are less active than some of the others. And we'll just kind of go high and low. Yep. And that's always a good thing, folks, too, is, don't always just look at staying on the bottom where the fish are. Look at the higher ones. Pike got their eyes on the top of their head, and that's how they look for everything. It's always looking up. So, and that's something to think about as well, too. Right, Tom?
Exactly. When you're jigging, right, common sense dictates we try to cover the water column. We work from the bottom and we come up. It's the same thing with your tip-ups. So go ahead, set some of those minnows right up as far as right underneath the ice. Yes. And others just keep them right up off the bottom or off the weeds. Yep. Especially in a situation like we have here where you've got 20 feet, which is essentially the deepest water in the area. Right. And then coming up onto a flat, that's an ideal situation. You're dead on with that strategy, Aaron. You want to mix it up a little bit. Some of those fish might be coming from that deeper water where they're suspended and moving in. Others might be moving off of that flat. And they're going to come in at different levels, so you want to try to make sure you can intercept them when they move through.
Exactly, yeah, because like I say, some are maybe following crappie schools, some may be down on the bottom working with the perch and the bluegills, so you just kind of level it out in between there.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Let's see what we can do.
Let's do it. Hey, one up. Oh, he's sliding in.
There he goes.
Oh yeah, yep. Love it when I see an angle on the line like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, looking good. Looking good. Line to run with there. I'd say he's probably had it.
Yeah, these are just golden shiners.
Yeah,
we
so
don't
we
have
ain't
the
gotta give
big
him a
minnows, so.
Ton of time. There
Got
he
him?
is. Don't feel too bad. Couple head shakes in there.
Good. Let's get a little bigger one here now.
Yeah.
Nice and easy. I'm not sure if this one's got one of the mono leaders on it or wire, so.
Yeah, we got kind of a change up on some of these lines here.
Yeah, you're getting a little more pull on there, aren't you?
More fishing action online at tgofishing.com.
Got him. There you go.
That's a nice bonus for some early ice pike action.
That, did we?
No.
Well, we're out here. It's not the right species. We're supposed to be fishing pike with the windlass tip-ups, but I'll tell you what.
Windlass. Nice bonus.
Yeah, you know what? And they are extremely effective for walleyes too. Again, you get the motion with these wind tip-ups. It keeps that bait moving. That's a nice fat, well-conditioned fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say it's got to be. What do you think, Tom? Probably 21.
I'm gonna go.
20.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say that's a good 21. Should we try it and see how good we are?
Yeah, take a look at it on the tape. And
let's check it out. See how we do here.
Pinch your tail just to be truthful on it. 22.5 with the tail in. So that's a good fish for going out for pike on early ice, eh?
We'll take that. Windlass tip-ups.
Bonus.
Multi-species day.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
That's a great fish for being 10 o'clock in the morning too.
Yeah. Well, you know, the overcast conditions, I think that really helps. Keeps the bite going a little bit longer. And you'd be surprised. I mean, I've caught walleyes in 4 feet of water, bright sunny days, ice fishing. You again, you get the cover of the ice and a little bit of, especially if you have snow. And you got to remember, that's really darkening the environment below, and these fish will tend to, stay more active and feed longer.
And too, like we were mentioned earlier, we're on this transition area too.
Yeah.
So you don't know at times what's going to come to that hole. Yeah. Especially if you got everything in a system like this. We got the walleyes, we got pike, we got muskie in the system. So staying in transition areas, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and she could have been up feeding here this morning. She's moving back toward that deep hole.
Yep.
And it's a good point again to mention that strategically, where we've got these lines set up, we've got a big weedy flat behind us. We got a gradual break that's going down into about, you're saying 20, 22 feet of water.
Yep.
And in this particular area, that is the deepest water in the area, and that is a prime spot. When you can find good feeding flats adjacent to that deeper water, there's options for those fish. And then you get an area like this, it's kind of narrowed down a little bit. It funnels those fish moving between the shallows and the deeper water. Well, now we're going to pull these things out of the water, and of course, at the end of the day, a lot of times people are wrapping up tip-ups, it's cold, they're trying to think of a fast way to get this done so they can head back. I don't know if you've ever noticed this or not, Aaron, but the shape of these frames is actually shaped kind of like an H. You see how that is? You can actually, if it's really cold and you don't want to mess around too much, you can take this line, you can actually wrap that right around the frame like this. Just look how quickly that pulled the line up. And then, of course, I can take that, secure it, fold it up, set it in my bucket. When I get back where it's warm, then I can spool that line back up. And another advantage to that is that wet line, if it's the end of the day and it's real cold, won't freeze up on the spool either. Now, it's not that bad today, so this is actually pretty simple. I'm just going to roll this back up using the handle on the spool. And again, I'm using my thumb and my forefinger to kind of get that water off the line so that I don't have too much of that built up. I don't have a wire leader, I got a mono leader, which is kind of nice. Because what I can do now is actually reel this right up. I put the hook in the hook holder like this, wind that up tight, tighten the drag down. Now all I have to do is loosen the rocker arm, H-shaped base there, that in. It's all wrapped up and ready to go in the bucket at the end of the day. Now if I'm using a wire leader, then I want to try to make sure, of course, that I'm stretching it. I don't want to have a kink in that wire leader, so I want to use a leader that's going to be shorter, if possible, than the length here between the spool and the grommet. Another thing you can do, of course, is you can stretch it out here on that H shape. I've even seen some people put like a little piece of Velcro at the back end of the rocker arm here, and then put the treble hook and put the Velcro over the back side. Sure. But they fold up very compactly, and throw them in your bucket or your rod case or whatever you got. Off you go.
That is nice, because as we all know, pike, usually it's cold, it's blowing, your hands are froze by the time you're done, so it's nice to wrap them up as quick as you can.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? It's been a great day out here, Aaron. You know, you picked out a nice lake, lots of action, and we caught numerous smaller pike, ended up getting a nice walleye. And you know, the name of the game here was to find a place where we'd have some action, we could show people how to rig and set a windlass. I think we accomplished that.
I think we did.
I really appreciate the time. It's been a great outing here.
It really has.
Loved it. We'll have to go back out and do it again. Next time maybe we'll try for some bigger fish on a different body of water.
Yep. Like to have you up on Schwalmingen Bay and get some big trout.
You know, we'll have to give that a shot. I love fishing the Great Lakes. I'm all up for it. Thanks for the invite.
Not a problem.
And thanks for the time here today. Thank you for joining us here. We'll see you again next time on Tom Gruenwald Outdoors.
TGO has been brought to you in part by HT Premium Ice Tackle, Polar Fire Gear. This is how it's done. Vexilar. Ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. And Tourism Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. TGO, where it's all ice fishing all the time.